All right, we're going to start the episode. So this is Aaron Squire coming at you guys again this week. Thanks for bearing with us. We had a couple of comms checks problems. Today, I've got Revoluketion on. We're ready for Revolution. We just did the 25th episode. This is episode 26. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tonight we're going to be talking about a Reddit thread, some Hex CCG Pro articles, the Threshold podcast from last week, the patch notes, the closed beta announcement, and we're going to do a deck doctor. And unless someone sends me something that they want me to do, we are doing a combo deck with Aspirant. So we're just going to go right into this. Tonight, I've got Revolution on. I'm sorry I could not get a picture for him. We had some technical issues, but he is here with me. He's like a disembodied spirit. But you guys need to make sure to go and check him out. That's for sure. So
that's for sure.
That is for sure. So let me just ask you, like, what kind of content are you doing on your channel? I think you're pretty new, right?
Yeah, I started like 2 weeks ago, but I'm just trying to get some drafting action going. Trying to learn drafting really well. I picked up 3 pro draft tiers, so you know, just trying to get our pros going. Also, hopefully at some point or another, I can try to start casting, but we'll see what happens with that. For the most part, I do a lot of drafts, and I'll probably do some PV whenever that comes out.
Oh, casting, huh? So have you seen, what's his name? It does a lot of the casts, my buddy.
I have. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. Threshold, no, not Threshold.
Yes.
No, not Threshold.
Okay.
It's, oh my gosh, he was on my show. Anyways, Anyways, he does a lot of casting. Yeah, yes. So moving on. So like, what kind of background do you have in card games?
Well, for the most part, I did like a junk ton of like Yu-Gi-Oh back in like high school, like just tons and tons of Yu-Gi-Oh. And besides that, after that, I tried picking up Magic for a little bit. I played during like the Zendikar block, but then realized I didn't have the money to be able to do that really reliably. So then I stopped for a bit. And then I was like, then this came out, and I was like, it's time. It is time. I can finally like be dedicated to a card game and get things going. I was so excited. So now I'm gonna be super dedicated to this card game. That's where I'm at.
Right. So, so have you competed at any competitive levels, or what's like the biggest event you've been to?
Honestly, I've only done like Friday Night Magic, but in terms of, I did some regionals with Yu-Gi-Oh, back like I don't know, like 6 years ago, back in high school. But besides that, not too many like stuff. But I'm hoping to get pretty competitive with this card game for sure.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot easier when it's at home and you don't have to do all the traveling and other stuff. And
exactly,
yeah, it's definitely a good thing. So if you guys haven't checked out Revolution, I'm just going to have him plug himself here. But before I do, here's the reason why you need to go over there. If it's not just for Hex, it's for the music, the boss music that's over there. Listen, this guy has to be some sort of like DJ or something. I mean, you got to be some sort of DJ, man. Talk to me about that.
I mean, I just kind of like, I really like music, and so I just have like, I listen to anything besides like country, and I was like, you know what, we're just gonna start finding obscure music and just doing our thing. So I just do all sorts of anything that I can get going, I do. And I would love to do DJing, like I started to, but mixer's pretty expensive, and maybe eventually I'll do some DJing and put that music up on the stream. But until then, we'll just play some bomb music.
All right, I just figured out what the brain fart moment was from a minute ago. That was Shardcast, by the way. So make sure to check them out. But you can hook up with them, and yeah, I'm sure he would love to do maybe a joint cast with you sometime.
That'd be cool.
That would be pretty cool. So go ahead and plug your stuff. Tell the people where to find you.
Oh heck yeah, dude! I took the option. This is my channel, straight up G. That's the Revolution. You can find me there. If you go to there's tons of links on the bottom to my YouTube channel, and it's just the baby metal Kuro. There's plenty of there's tons of links down the bottom to go to all my different social networkings and things like that to get in connection with me. Also on my YouTube channel, got a lot of like random videos on there too, but they're about a year old, so hopefully we can start getting that up too.
Right. Yeah, you started streaming actually not with Hex, with some other game, right?
I actually didn't do streaming at all. I did a lot of YouTube and doing Guild Wars 2, as well as like Diablo 3 and Craft. A little bit of League of Legends, but not really. The main focus is Skyrim, Diablo 3, and Guild Wars 2.
Right. All right, so moving on, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Reddit thread real quick, and then we got a whole bunch of news to just plow through. But basically, there was a Reddit thread where someone was asking about some authenticators and stuff, and like when we were going to get authenticators or this and that. And if you remember from the Kickstarter program, the authenticator was a stretch goal, I believe, and we easily made that was like one of the first stretch goals. So they are coming at some point in time, probably not anytime soon. But they also was on there, and interestingly, someone pointed out that maybe they should do the Google Authenticator, because then they would have to deal with less authenticators on their phone, because they've already got the Blizzard one and the Google one and some other
Right.
stuff. So it's thoughts on this?
Honestly, my Diablo, I have a hard copy of an authenticator. So in terms of me, I don't mind what it's on. Having an authenticator would just be nice to have. I know that if the game got big, people get hacked. People get hacked a ton. It's guaranteed, because I got hacked so many times on Blizzard for not even I didn't even give away my information. I don't even know how it happened. So if the game gets big, authenticators are definitely important. I don't mind what it's on, and even if it's its own thing, like, is having an extra icon on your phone really that big of a deal? I don't know. I don't mind it, regardless. I just want to see it soon.
Yeah, I mean, having it all on your phone is pretty nice. Two-factor authentication is definitely the wave of the future. I mean, it's definitely nice to have, because I've actually seen authentication on a phone where if you're just close enough to your computer, it logs it in automatically for you. So the neat thing about this is typically you always have your phone on you. Like, I have mine right here. You guys hear it ring once in a while when I'm actually doing the show, which is bad. But moving on, we got so you can actually, like, if you're not in front of your computer and someone tries to start hacking you, or access your computer because you have it turned on, because people do that, they won't be able to get into it because you aren't sitting in front of it. So you'll have to be actually sitting in front of it. Right. So kind of a neat concept there. I don't think that we're going to get something to that level, but yeah, we'll definitely see security for sure. Right. I mean, I've specifically talked to Corey about this, and security is paramount on his mind, so he's definitely going to make sure your collection stays safe.
Heck yeah, dude, straight up.
So moving on, we've got some Hex CCG Pro articles that we're going to pull up here. All right, so there's two that were put out, there's two things that they put out this week that I've seen. One was the Hex CCG Pro 2 Turns Ahead Episode 11, which was released today. It was released so early today that I didn't even get time to listen to it, so I have no idea what the content is besides just reading the header, which is metagame for beta. So I'm guessing that's what they think is going to be good in beta.
Right.
And then the other one was the Avatar of Hope, where it's statistically how likely it is to draw it and stuff like that. So probably a good read.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't honestly read that one either. I've found the Angel of Hope to be pretty balanced, actually, honestly, compared to like what we thought that it was going to be so ridiculous. I mean, you only have a limited window to draw it, and it has to be on like turn 2, 3, or 4 to be ridiculous, and then after that, it just becomes a regular Angel. Plus, there's a lot of ways to deal with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it also adds honestly, it adds fun element to it. I mean, it's not that overpowered or anything, and like getting it will make you feel awesome. I know I was playing with one earlier, and I was just like, yeah! I was so excited. I was like, this is the funnest game ever. Like, it adds fun to the game, and as long as it's not breaking any like thing or really frustrating anybody, why not have it?
Right. I also want to mention the Threshold podcast from last week, because they're usually like a little bit behind. Something that they pointed out, we're just kind of segueing into this. They talked about, there was an article, or not an article, but a forum posting on the Hex main forums where they were talking about whether people would rather ban or nerf cards. And someone made a point that they would rather just nerf the cards because it's digital, and that's what they do in other games like League of Legends and stuff like that. And overwhelmingly, when I posted this on Reddit, like, I don't know, back when we were in the Kickstarter days, people said that they would rather ban over nerfing cards because they would rather be able to play them in other formats. Now, again, if we ban cards, a lot of times that just bans it for the current format, and you can usually play it in some other format. Thoughts on this?
Right. I thought when we were talking on the stream is I'd rather have a see a ban over a nerf. I feel like a nerf is a more pardon the, I know that the word casual and hardcore have stipulations on the internet, but I feel like nerfing is more of a casual form of approaching it, and if it keeps, I feel like if you go with just like banning cards, it becomes more of a like it at the very least, like you don't want to ban cards, but nerfing like would be probably have less of a emphasis on, and so they'd probably be more inclined to just nerf and be like, all right, we'll solve the problem. Even though either way they don't want to do it as often, I feel like banning the card, knowing what you're getting when you have it, is probably better than not knowing what your card will end up being in a year down the line.
Exactly. Like, you want to be able to know what the cards are going to be worth, and if they start, you know kind of when a ban hammer is going to get dropped, but sometimes, like, if things can get changed at a drop of a hat, then having the cards doesn't mean as much, I mean, because then we can just just for the fact that they're going to rebalance it. Now, if the cards were always in and like they were legacy, like there was never a rotation, then maybe I could see them nerfing cards and buffing cards, but
right.
that's basically how League of Legends really works. There are no champions that are banned, they just rebalance them as they release more. So
exactly.
So again, it's really not a good comparison, and in a card game we typically don't want to see nerfs. We want to see bans if they have to do something.
Yeah, just ban it.
So
I agree.
Moving on, that kind of is another good segue into some of the Twitter posts that I had this last week. So first one was from Gary Michael. He tweeted me quite a bit. He wanted to know my opinion on the value of cards. Specifically, he was touting Soul Marble. He loves Soul Marble. A lot of people are on the Soul Marble bandwagon, and I understand that. It seems like a really powerful card. To me, Soul Marble is good, but it's like a lot of times to get it online, it's going to take you 3 turns, which means you have 3 turns of a dead card sitting on the field, which you're pumping all your resources into, and I don't like that feeling. You can get killed. You can get killed in that time period. So that's why I don't like it. It's also easily countered, especially in our format, because if they make it into armaments, then you basically exile it with something or destroy it. Especially after we're going to get some other stuff.
Solitary, Solitary Exile really hurts it.
Right. I mean, Exile, you got a lot of different things, different answers for it. And true. So definitely. a lot of times I'll sit on the answer in my hand and just be like, no, I don't even need to answer this, until it goes off, and then he's wasted all those resources.
Right.
So that's why I don't especially like Soul Marble, but some people do, and I have had it beat me. So it is. I'm not going to say it's a bad card, but on the issue of price, how much are the cards worth? So there's no one way to take a look at this. If you really want to know about price, you need to talk to Mokog. He did a couple of YouTubes on it, so I would direct you over to him. He's actually on my YouTube. If you check my people that I've highlighted, he's one of the people I've highlighted on there, and he's actually, in real life, he is actually a finance person. So I would definitely direct you over to him. But basically, you need to look at how much the packs cost. Yeah, he's a great guy. You need to look at how much the packs cost. Yeah. You gotta look at how much the packs cost. So they cost $2. So a rare, you're technically buying the rare for $2. So if you don't get it, how much are you willing to spend? Because if you spend $10 on a rare, that's 5 packs of cards you could have bought to have a chance at that rare card. So as you start going up in value, it's how many packs would you have been able to buy instead, is the way I look at it. Anything to add to that?
Well, what's weird on my side is I almost always I'm a stickler for if you're trying to construct a deck, I almost always just buy the cards. I feel when I played Yu-Gi-Oh, I would buy boxes and boxes of cards, and I would get nothing out of them.
Well,
so, like,
Yeah, the distribution in Yu-Gi-Oh was horrible though. I mean, we've already seen the distribution in this game. I've done 50 pack openings and gotten like 7 legendaries, I believe, something like that, 6 or 7. Like I thought I came out with 4 because I only recognized like the ones I really like, and then someone's like, no, you got like 6 or 7 if you counted them. So that's really good.
I guess that's true too. That makes a good point. The chance for hitting legendaries, I guess, adds a bunch. I hardly open any of my packs. I have like 219, like just chilling in my.
Right. Well, so, and you might want to because we're actually about to go to beta soon, which we're gonna get to. So, taking a step back here, I also want to give a shout out real quick when we're on the subject of Twitter to Dan, who is Golden Saucer Guy, who tested a Shinhair Gore Feast deck just because I suggested it to him, and he told me how he did with it. And then Jason is also commented about my Aspirant Combo deck, which we'll be talking about later tonight. So let's give a shout out to those guys. Going back to the patch notes here, a couple of different things on here. There's mostly fixing. They just basically fixed a lot of stuff. But the biggest things that I'm noticing is new coin flip. Awesome. I think it's going to be great to get a new coin flip. I think we should just get a new coin flip whenever we have a new set of cards. No, actually, I don't think that, but I think that would be pretty funny.
That'd be cool. It would be cool, man. I'm not even. I mean, I guess it's a waste of assets, but like, I think it'd be cool.
Unfortunately, I keep.
Or what they could do is put a coin flip, like a skin kind of in the shop for extra microtransactions.
Right.
Purchase a flip.
A flip, a skin flip or whatever that no one else sees but you. So,
yep.
Which I'm sure you could mod in, but anyways, no double matchups now, because like if someone dropped from your draft or your constructed or whatever, there was a chance you could get double matchups because of the way that the numbers worked out. So they fixed that problem. Kind of a big deal. The Primal Packs now give you 2 legendaries and 13 rares, which I thought for some reason in the back of my mind, you guys can correct me, I thought it was 1 legendary and 14 rares before, but I could be wrong about that.
Right.
There is now a 300 card deck max. So the maximum amount of cards you're allowed to have is 300, probably because it breaks something if you have more than that, or it just slows things down, or it makes it really hard. So they didn't.
I don't think it would really matter that much.
I don't think anyone's gonna be crying about that one.
Oh man.
Here's a big deal. You now have the choice to draw or play. This wasn't in the patch notes, but this did happen. We now have seen this when we're playing. And they fixed Reginald, so now he does kill players when they draw him after you've gotten him through and you shuffle him to your opponent's deck. So,
which is cool. Also, I did think of something, though. I know this isn't that big of a deal, but it bothered me. Mulliganing is faster now. When they change it back to the 1 card putting into the deck at a time, I was like, stop it, just make it mulligan faster. So I'm happy they changed that.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting if you'll be able to skip a lot of, like the coin flip is nice, but I think that there should also be an option to skip that as well.
I concur. Oh, yeah, I concur.
You know, it's kind of like remember when you played Final Fantasy VII and you had to deal with those summons, and you'd be like, I need to put these on short because I can't watch Knights of the Round mirrored 8 times. I just can't do it. It's just.
I agree. I get that. I totally know that pain so
much. Moving on. I'm in the wrong place here. I'll just click over to it. The closed beta has been announced for the 23rd of this month. Oh yeah, that's right. So they talk about their Twitter accounts, and basically if you're in the alpha, you should be getting your invitation soon to get into it. It should be pretty easy segue. They also talk about the card manager, or I guess what are they calling this? What are they calling this? The stash, which is basically it's almost like World of Warcraft bags for all of your stuff, which is kind of neat. So maybe it's it's just like bag space basically, except that we have infinite bag space, which is nice.
Right.
There's now an OS X version of Hex for all of you Mac people, which is pretty awesome. You can get to that through their forums.
Gary
for
was excited about that.
all those Mackies.
That's right.
And you can see Tyler James at WonderCon. I think it's over though, so I guess if you did go to WonderCon and you didn't see Tyler James, then you missed out. But he was the rep that was at WonderCon, which makes me think that they are going to have a showing in a lot of these cons, but probably their big ones are going to be Gen Con, and of course we've got Hex Con supposedly coming up this year at some point in time. So we shall see if that happens or not. Moving
a quick
forward.
Side note.
Go ahead.
One moment. With that patch or whatever, didn't it say something about redeeming codes? What exactly? Do you know exactly what that was? Like, were those codes for? Are they?
So there are codes for like the people that went to Gen Con. I've got actually a couple of those PvE champions on my desk. Now they aren't working because there's no PvE stuff in the game yet, so I'm not even going to try putting them in. But I will be giving them away at some point in time. I've got a couple of them to give away through my stream eventually.
That makes sense. Right.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's all I had.
So we have got plenty of time to work on this combo deck. Now this is going to be very similar to what I've already put together this week. I'm just going to go and dive right into this. I'm not sure if you'll be able to. You could try pulling up the video and see if it's really bad for you because the TeamSpeak should be pretty good. Okay, awesome. So you can see it. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so we're going to start this off. So the basic idea is we're going to have Aspirant, Mastery of Time, and if our opponent lets us drop that 5th resource and we have a Mastery of Time in hand with an Aspirant in play, we basically take a ton of turns at that point.
Right, right.
So first things first, we're gonna change the colors. This is going to be interesting because I have to click in a different screen, because if I click in here, it's going to try to like use my browser to go back. So you may not hear me necessarily.
Right. That's cool. That's cool.
All right. So first thing we've got. I did try this with Mirror Knight, but I didn't have enough troops in here. We've got a lot of removal in this deck, so we're going to be adding a lot of removal cards. We're obviously going to be going with what's his name, Wyatt, which is spelled wrong on here, but that's fine. So yeah, some of these I'm not clicking in, Luke. So just bear with me when you don't hear me.
Dude, I got it. It's all good. I'll just sit on the sideline.
So we obviously want 4 Solitary Exile because it's just like the best removal right now for Diamond. Diamond's going to give us a lot of our removal cards, so we're definitely running 4 of those.
Exile, sweet. A bomb, but it's bomb.
It is pretty bomb. Of course, we have the 4 Mastery of Time. 4 Mastery of Time. So I'm running 1 Mimic in here, and it costs 2 now, so hopefully it's showing up right. But the thing that's neat is if I have a flipped Aspirant in play, I can Mimic the Aspirant, and typically by that point in time I've got 6 resources, and then play another Aspirant that's already flipped. If you have...
Fancy.
Keep this in mind. If you have 2 Aspirants in play, you don't draw 1 card off of each card draw. You draw 2. And the reason why is because it's a card replacement draw effect type of thing. It says if you would draw a card, instead search your deck for a card. So because they're both triggering, both effects go on the stack, in which case you draw 2 cards.
You look at that. Perfect cast.
So I had a single Angel of Dawn. I kept pulling them out. They just didn't really fit in the deck. They weren't doing very much for me. There wasn't a good time when I really wanted to cast them, and there's actually times when you might top deck them and play them and put them into play, and it becomes a dead card for you that just sits on the field and in play when you're trying to combo out. Whereas you might have needed removal or something else. So I actually am not playing with any Angel of Dawn in this deck, but it wouldn't be necessarily wrong to run maybe 2 of them in here. I just didn't find them to be something I ever wanted to tutor for with the Aspirant once he's flipped. Also,
Right.
the other clunky thing is if you do flip Aspirant, you're not drawing the angel. So if you use it to tutor an angel out, you have to hard cast it. So keep that in mind as well.
That's true.
So with the one Loregoyle in the deck, what we can do is infinitely counter our opponent. Once we have Aspirant in play, Loregoyle will allow us to flip shuffle cards into our deck, and we have infinite counter spells at that point in time. So we can basically say no to every card our opponent draws. Once he's shuffling those counter spells into the deck, it's just another thing that we can do to basically shut the whole game down.
Bet you Loregoyle is appreciating you using him.
So Loregoyle got a lot better. I think he used to cost 4, now he costs 3. And he's the single threshold, and he's an 0-4, which is a decent blocker. So even by himself, he can block pretty well for you and get you to
That's true.
Get you to hold on to those turns when you need them. Of course, we've got the obligatory 4 Shards of Fate. I've actually considered going from 24 shards in this deck up to 25, but it's hard to find space.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Like, I think 25 might be a better. Like, I like running 25, or if I can.
So part of the combo is running Ancestors Chosen, because once Ancestors Chosen is in play, you're taking extra turns, putting those specters in the deck, and then you can draw them. Now, I've had a lot of people talk to me about putting Replicator's Gambit in this deck, and I feel like it's more of a win-more card that is really good when you've got the combo in play, but it's really bad when you don't, because it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to replicate my own thing, draw a card, and then maybe I'll draw it later in the game. It's really bad. I mean, I guess I could chump with an Ancestors Chosen, shuffle him in the deck, and I mean, it's just bad by itself when you don't have the combo in play. But it's a nice tutor because you can put 8 Specters into play, draw 8 cards, and do all that fun stuff. But I didn't find it to be necessary because I was taking so many turns. A lot of times I'm at, like, I go from 5 resources up to 6 resources, and then what you want to do is not tutor for what is it called? Mastery of Time. You want to tutor for that Spectre, and then have the Spectre tutor for Mastery of Time again, and then, you know, proceed forward. Eventually,
I feel like you already have a pretty good win condition.
Yeah, typically.
Just the Mastery Time.
So the obligatory 4 Countermagic is going to go in here, obviously. I bet you know what, maybe I should just switch my TeamSpeak to no push to talk. We'll just do that. That might be better. Hold on a second. Let me just change this real quick, because that will help everything. Where is it? Options. Where's the push to talk? Alright, so I just switched to continuous transmission, so you should hear me now. I don't have to do push to talk, and I won't screw up my thing. So that'll help this to be a little bit freer.
Nice.
We can talk back and forth here, so I'll just have to remember to turn it on later. So Repel is the definite 4 of in this deck because of all the Ruby aggro you might have to deal with. It's a turn 2 removal when it is your opponent is trying to smash you in the face. You have to run 4 of it.
Right.
Oracle Song's another 4 of in this deck. It's just going to get you to those resources you need or get you to your combo, basically. And also, when you do have your combo in play, sometimes when you run out of time, when you run out of Mastery Time, what do you tutor for? Something that draws you more cards. So you tutor for Oracle Song, which tutors you 2 cards, you know, in the following turn for 3. And a lot of times you've got at least 5 resources, if not 6, in play, so you can play all those cards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like draw lots of cards, play lots of cards at the end of the game, and this is pretty quick. It takes some practice to get it right, but this is a pretty quick game. We've already talked about Replicator's Gambit. Peak is another 4 of, again, to get you to your combo, and you can do it in your opponent's end step, which is amazing. Another card I considered playing in here was what's it called? The 7-drop thing. Oh, I forget what it's called. It costs 7. It's an artifact. I'm gonna look for it.
Oh yeah. The
Here we go. I'll just do cost up here.
Yeah. It's all good. You'll find it.
The Chimes of Zodiac. So I ran that in here, and I never wanted to tutor this card. Never wanted to tutor it. So Chimes of Zodiac is the reason why I already figured out that I didn't like Replicator's Gambit, because it was a win more card, and when I drew it, and I needed to basically, I was in the part of the game where I needed board control, it did nothing for me. So that's why I'm not running Chimes in here, and that's what basically let me know that I didn't want to play with Replicator's Gambit.
Yeah.
So kind of going down through the cards again. We're down, moving down. Back to where we were. It's probably like blurring through people's things. They're like, stop it, Aaron Squire, stop. So another card that may not be wrong is maybe Menacing Grolk in here, because he's another, he could time walk your opponent, or you could play him, like say your opponent has some defenders up, you could basically throw him and get all your damage through. So that may not be wrong to play in this deck, maybe as a 1 or a 2 of, so you could try that as well.
Yeah,
I'm not playing it, but he's another Mastery of Time, really.
Yeah.
Which you can tutor for what you're trying to do. Inner Conflict's a one that I'm running 2 of. So the difference between Inner Conflict and the Exile card, the Exile card is going to sit on the board, whereas Inner Conflict shuffles into your or it goes in your graveyard, which means you can shuffle it back into your deck with Loregoyle if you need to.
Right.
So Inner Conflict again is another good counter to a lot of the wild stuff that's out there. 2 should be pretty good for you. Again, if you're comboing out against wild, a lot of times they don't have the flyers to stop you anyways, and they also don't have a lot of removal, so they're not going to be able to stop your combo via removal a lot of times. Of course, we're running the 4 Aspirant. And I believe I'm running something like 11 Sapphire Shards and 9 Diamond Shards in here. So let's see where we're at. I think I'm missing some cards. I think I'm missing some removal here. Maybe not. So let's go over here. We're exactly at 60. So I remembered the deck.
Yeah, I was about to say, wait, you're at 60.
I remembered the deck verbatim, basically. So there you go. That's memory recall for you. Again, I want to be an advocate to memorize your cards, so that way you can do this sort of thing. You should be able to spout off your deck, and so that way you can know what's inside of it, so you can play it properly, especially this deck, because you're doing so much tutoring. You don't want to flip through all of your cards and then flip back through all of your cards and then flip back one more time, because it's going to run your clock down, and you're going to take what I like to call time damage, because if your clock runs out, you lose. You really need to know what you're doing.
Today.
Yeah, exactly.
I won the draft anyways, but I would have if we went to game 3, I would have beaten him because we only had 2 minutes left.
Exactly. And so, especially because we're on chess clocks in this game, which I feel is a lot more fair than physical TCGs, yeah, that's something that you need to look at when it is that you're playing a deck. You need to play it to a level where you can play 10-minute games max, when on your side. So this is a deck that you can make a ton of mistakes with. I've made a whole bunch on my stream. Yeah, it's there's a ton of mistakes to make in this deck. So here's mistake number 1. You have Aspirant in play. You have the Sapphire Shard or Diamond Shard, so you can play up to 5. You're on your 4th shard. You're going to play your 5th. You have Mastery of Time in hand. So what do? You get excited, and you activate Aspirant, and just so everyone knows, when you do that and you go to Enlightened Seeker, you can no longer cast any cards.
Okay, yeah, play cards.
So you need to play your Mastery of Time first, and then exhaust your Aspirant in order to get to where you need to go.
Right.
You also need to do a lot of counting. You got to do a ton of counting with this deck, because you got to figure out, okay, if I flip my Aspirant, I'm drawing a card at the end of the turn. I'm basically dead on cards. If I can't flip him at the end of the turn, he only flips at the end of the turn, so you could lose a whole nother turn if you decide to flip him at the wrong time. So it's like, okay, I have Mastery of Time in hand. I'm at 5 cards. If I play Mastery of Time, that puts me down to 4, and then at the end of the turn, I'll go back up to 5, and next turn I'll draw a card, with my Mastery of Time because it's my turn again, and then at the end of the turn he'll flip, and then I'm golden. So that means that your opponent, your opponent's only reaction to you is on your turn, which is where you want to keep it. You do not want your opponent to react on their turn because they have a lot more options. Another thing that someone pointed out on my Twitter feed was the fact that Zared can debuff Aspirant prior to your flip, and he will retain the -1/-1, which will kill him on the flip. So be aware of that. Obviously, if that happens, you just use him as a blocker. You're not flipping that Aspirant. You just wait for another one.
Right.
Another thing that's really good about this deck is it does have a decent amount of reactionary cards. We've got the 4 Countermagic, the 4 Peek, and the 4 Repel. So if we have to, let's say we just flipped our Aspirant, we've done nothing for X amount for our extra turn except flip him. We now hopefully have Countermagic, Repel, or Peek in hand, so that way we can set up. The best thing to do on the following turn is probably with your Aspirant, tutor out, start tutoring Mastery of Times, and sometimes you can just tutor your next X amount of turns. If you have enough resources in play, or if you already have an Ancestors Chosen in play, you now have Specters in the deck. So if you have 6 resources in play, what you do is you tutor a Specter, and then you tutor Mastery of Time off of the Specter, and you do it again 4 times and hopefully win. While your opponent sits there and looks at you. You have to be fast because, again, you're taking time damage while it is that you're doing all of this.
That's true.
Yeah,
it's definitely a deck where you need to know it.
Yeah, you really need to live it like you love it type of deck. Again, I don't think that it would be wrong to go up to that 25th shard necessarily and play maybe one less Ancestors Chosen or something. But 24 feels decent with the deck. There are times when it is that you're going to draw 1 diamond or 1 sapphire, hopefully not 1 sapphire, and that's going to hose you because most of your removal is in diamond. Your reactionary removal, your like if you can't counter something, it's already on the table. You need your 2 diamond shards a lot of times. So
yeah,
it may not be wrong to go down 1 Solitary Exile and go maybe up 1 Inner Conflict. And especially when we get our reserves, that will definitely help out there.
Definitely.
So, any ideas, Revolution, on this deck? Things you like, things you don't like, things you want to try.
Dude, I'm the worst at building decks, but let's see. Honestly, I really like the idea of dropping Ancestor Chosen for another shard. I have been screwed so many times in my life. That's how I would like to start mine. So coming from a new perspective, if you guys like don't know how to play well, like I don't, I would start with more shards just because I'd rather get flooded than screwed.
Right.
So,
well, also, here's another neat thing about this deck. Not to cut you off, but I did. Right. Just cut you off. Cool. So with Wyatt the Sapper, a lot of times you're drawing 2 cards off of him because you're already at your 5th shard playing your Mastery of Time. And then what's going to happen is you're going to play like 3 more Mastery of Time, which is going to basically ramp you, hopefully, and also draw you some more cards and do other stuff. So by that time, you're usually at 9 shards or 10, and then you'll be able to drop Wyatt again. So pretty freaking awesome.
This deck's fun, man. This deck's fun. I'm gonna play with it, no doubt, just for fun.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's pretty well tuned. So the thing that I was talking to Revolution before the cast. I was like, so the thing that forced me to try something new was when Corey said in his interview, "Hey, yeah, there were some things we tested in house, and we're surprised you guys haven't come across yet." And so this is one of the things. I guess some people had tested this. It hasn't really surfaced very much on the a lot of the tournaments that we've seen, the last couple of Hex CCG Pro tournaments. So I hope we see something close to this maybe in the future. I think it's pretty good, personally. It runs a lot of the combo elements that I want to see in a deck, where you basically, it doesn't go off infinitely, but it does basically, once you basically drop that 5th shard, you have a pretty good chance of winning the game at that point. Right. So if you can go ahead.
what would you, if you wanted to put Grulks into it, what would you suggest?
I would definitely suggest going up to the 25th shard at that point. And I would run maybe 1 to 2 Grulks, maybe dump your Ancestors Chosen, like 2 of them or something. Because a lot of times you can tutor him out, but he is such a nice like turn 1 drop because he has to be answered. He blocks a lot of Ruby stuff and trades with it if you have to, and you still have the Specters in the deck. I mean, you really only need like 8 Specters to win. You don't need like 20. Another thing I think that you may be like a little bit like, oh, should I really do this? Should I not do this? Is you don't have any of the combo in hand. You are up to 5 resources. You've successfully like either countermagicked or interconflicted or repelled your opponent's stuff, or maybe they have a little bit of board state or you know, but you're sitting on a mastery of time and you're like, oh, I really feel like I need to combo this out to, you know, I don't have Aspirant in hand, so I need to wait for the combo. I don't feel like that's right. I feel like what you need to do is just go ahead and take your extra turn and draw your extra card with it, because you need to just burn through this deck and get it online, and if you wait, it could never happen for you. So Mastery of Time is going to put you ahead, especially if you have a shard in hand. It's basically ramping you while drawing you a card, so definitely something to look at. I did have somebody complain when I was playing this. I used to have whatever it was called. I forgot what it was called again. The chimes. When I had chimes in here, I had a singleton chimes in here, and the game went really long because they were playing a deck that wasn't very aggressive. And so I went ahead and put chimes into play and let him have a turn, and then I just started casting Mastery at times. And I started shuffling cards into my deck with Gargoyle, and he thought I was going off infinitely, and he got pissed. And then before I could even like type back to him that it wasn't an infinite combo, he was already offline. So if you guys know that guy, I'm really sorry about that game. I was just testing a game, so I warn people now about this deck before I start playing it against them, because I wouldn't say it's degenerate, but it may not be very much fun when I'm taking 4 turns and you're sitting there looking at me. So I do warn people about it, and I suggest you do the same. Say, I am playing a combo deck, and also that's going to maybe get you, because it's only 1-for-1 games right now. The surprise factor isn't really as big of a deal when it is that you're trying to train for a tournament anyways. So if your opponent knows that you're playing a combo deck, like I tell them, I'm playing Aspirant Combo, so that way they can try to stop me, and that makes me a better player in the end, is the way I look at it.
Right. That's true. That's very true.
So, so obviously when you're playing a tournament, you're not going to do that. But like when you're practicing, it's just these one-off games. I would suggest you at least warn people, because this could be a not fun play experience for some people, again, because they're sitting there and you're taking all these turns. So I think that's about it for tonight. So Revolution, go ahead and plug your stuff again for the people so they can come and check you out. You guys, this guy's got some mad skills with the beats, and when you guys help him out, he's going to build up some mad skills with the Hex. He's on that. If you guys are looking for somebody that's got some good music and just a great time. I mean, I had a good time in his channel the other day. Yeah, make sure to check him out. So he put it in there. Go ahead and say it so that way people can hear you, because for YouTube.
Yeah, that's well, the Twitch stream is Revolution, and then my YouTube, I haven't changed it to Revolution yet. It's Psycho Power Ranger, but that link is in the stream. So if you head over to that stream, you can check it out down at the bottom, and it's a straight up good time. We just have a good time and make sure to respond to everybody. We just joke around. I lose a lot, but I still do well sometimes. You can listen. Honestly, though, what's really cool is there's a lot of cool guys who will help me out in the comments. So even if you're there to learn, those guys know what they're talking about, and it really helps out. So especially if you're new, I would say I'm a pretty, like, honestly, if you want to learn together, drop by sometime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And also for YouTube people, I'm going to go ahead and put his YouTube links below, so go ahead and check the comments for that.
Yeah,
and so make sure to do that. So tonight we talked about some Reddit threads. We also talked about some Hex CCG Pro articles. We talked about the Threshold podcast with the nerf ban thing, and we went over the patch notes. We got closed beta coming up. Yep. All right. That's right, son. We did a deck doctor with this degenerate combo deck. Well, it's probably not that degenerate, but, 5 turns degenerate. 4 or 5 turns. And
Degenerate enough.
It's degenerate enough. And that's about it for us tonight. So this is Aaron Squire signing off saying God bless you and your families. And this is Revolution saying
Thank
something.
you for joining the Revolution.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
Right.
All right.